A question I hear a lot from guys is, how did she move on so fast? It's not universal, but in general, when a relationship ends, women are able to move on more quickly than men. Why is this? Now, if you're looking for easy answers, please click away now, go watch TikTok or something. And I'm also going to cover some very unpleasant and violent parts of our ancient past in this video. Research shows that women initiate breakups more frequently than men do. So it often comes as a surprise to a man, and he's not prepared for it. And when something feels like it's happening to you rather than something that you actively choose, it can feel very disempowering. And so many men experience deep grief when their woman announces that she is going to leave him. The partner who is not in control of the breakup is usually the one who feels the deeper grief. But even when it's the other way around, and in those cases when the man is leaving the woman and the woman has a deeper initial emotional response to the breakup, around 2 months later, she's in generally a better position than men in the same position. Why is this? Well, first of all, women have much better support structures. Straight away after a breakup, they can call friends who will give her immediate validation and support. She'll be told things like, oh, well, he didn't deserve you anyway. And many men don't know how to support a friend through something like this. But that's not even the worst part. A 2021 survey found that 15% of men, when asked how many close friends they had to call upon in an emergency, said 0. And in the same survey, 53% said that if they had a serious problem, the person that they would go to first is their partner. So what happens if your partner is no longer there and you have no one else to call upon? I've discussed on this channel before about the dangers of making another human being the center of your world and the risk of self-harm and self-deletion when this falls apart. Women experience deeper initial grief and depression than men, but they do better at reflecting and trying to find the lessons that they can learn from the experience. They find the silver lining. Men, by virtue of sociological and biological pressures, are more likely to undergo negative rumination and negative actions rather than embracing positive learning and perspective changes. Another reason why women seem to move on faster than men is that most men cannot attract replacement mates quickly. While in this grieving process, emotional wounds are seen as a liability by most women, as if to say, well, if he can't take care of himself, how can he take care of me? But a damsel in distress is seen by many men as, oh, that poor girl, I can save her. And also there's simply no shortage of men who will be there to have no strings attached rebound hookups with a girl who's just been broken up with. But even before the breakup, women are more likely to engage in what is known as monkey branching. This is named after the idea that a monkey, when climbing through a jungle canopy, doesn't let go of one branch until it has a good grasp of the next. And the behavior is understandable. In general, people don't quit one job before they move to the next job. And women are more risk averse than men. Knowing that the end of a relationship is coming near, they start to reach out to assess other potential opportunities. Most will not cross any boundaries of the relationship, but they may position themselves to maximize their chances of having some distraction from the pain that comes with the end of the relationship. Related to this, as I discussed in the video Can Men and Women Be Just Friends, some women are more prone to keeping backup mates around. Again, not strictly breaking any boundary of the relationship, but knowing that if it ended, there would be some other guy to call upon. But I think the most disturbing part of human nature in exploring this question is what is labeled as the war bride dynamic.
And what probably happened was that for those 2,000 years, all everyone did in order to be able to grow their tribes, because the only way to grow was to take the fields of your neighbor. So then you had a universal system of intertribal raiding where when your kin group was strong enough, you would go to your neighbors, kill all the males and take all the females and all the fields, and that was yours. And people kept doing this for 2,000 years until 95% of the original male DNA was just wiped off the genetic slate. During this regime, a woman had to always be ready to submit to the greater warrior. You didn't necessarily have feudal rulers or other state structures that could protect people. People always up until this time lived in kin groups, and if other groups came and defeated you, then the men would be killed and enslaved, and the women would often be captured. So if women wanted a chance to survive and protect themselves and their children, they now had to submit to whomever had killed their father or their husband. So this was an extremely misogynistic rape culture, and this is what marked up until 1,000 years ago. from the beginning of agriculture, from that period we talked earlier, where this was the original patriarchy. And what drove much of this was that these kin groups generally practiced polygynous mating. So you'd had elite individuals who would hoard women as wives, concubines, and sex slaves. So for the low value men, they didn't have access to pair bonding or copulation. So then they were driven throughout antiquity to, when they had a strong enough position, to go to whomever their neighbors were, and then kill the men, take their stuff, and take their women.
Generation after generation was exposed to this same cycle. Most men who ever lived never got to pass on their genes, partly due to this practice, whereas nearly all women did. The women who refused to submit to their captors were killed. And this cycle was repeated again and again, killing off any women who refused to go along with the new regime to quickly get over their dead husbands and get used to the idea of being married to and having children with the victors. This process ensured that anyone left had the ability to quickly sympathize with their captors. Could this be why Stockholm Syndrome is so much more prevalent in women than in men? If our violent past forcibly selected traits of having to be able to deal with the end of relationships, forget the past and move forward under new regimes, well, might they also play a role in how quickly women move on from relationships in the present day? Like I said, these are generalizations. There are multiple individual components which can affect how long it takes for someone to get over a relationship. I'm just speaking on a macro trend level. I want everyone to remember that a relationship cannot be judged by the ending any more than your whole life can be judged by your last moments. Relationships are richer and deeper than that. We change as people within them, and those relationships can change and end too. The person you were with at the end of the relationship may not be the same person you went into the relationship with. We are not so much as we become. What makes a relationship special, what makes a relationship beautiful, is how we spend each moment within them. Thank you very much for listening.